You're tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
This is it, everybody! The end of an era. Welcome back, everyone, to the finale of the Hemlock Grove AFTERBUZZ TV After Show. I am your host, Sean Overman, and you can find me at Sean Austin O on Twitter and Instagram. I'm joined here by my awesome, beautiful, and lovely Pinay co-hosts.
Hello everyone, I'm Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at SeraphiniTV.
And I'm Marielou Mandl. You can find me at all social media at Marielou Mandl.
We have so much to talk about today, guys. Oh my gosh.
So much.
This is it. How about, let's start with overall thoughts, just like one or two sentences on how you would say this series has been for you, how it has like wrapped up now that we've seen episodes 9 and 10.
It's the epic romance I never knew I wanted.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's good. Maybe I could just summon it in 2 words and make us immediately explicit. Fucking amazing.
Yes.
That's it.
I want to say this thing was just it's a bromance that turned deadly, and it's semicolon of Shakespearean epicness. Just the conclusion is just so insane. Everything that's happened in the show. Oh God. So let's pop into it right away. And if I am skipping over anything, guys, just go ahead and tell me so that we can talk about it. Because I have a lot of stuff written up there, but I don't know if we're going to be able to talk about all of it tonight on our show, on our finale.
We'll do our best.
We will do our best. So, to be honest, I was watching. This is how dedicated I am to Hemlock Grove. I went home from my shows last night. I stopped my last podcast at 12 o'clock, midnight, and I get home, sleep, wake up, I'm on the road watching Hemlock Grove mounted on my car.
Wow.
Super dangerous.
You're a wild man.
But
don't do that at kids.
Don't
do
this.
it. No.
Don't see my actions and do what I do, kids. Okay, because
no monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, we're on the podcast, so you can only hear what I do. You can't see it. But this is how dedicated I am, right? So this is what I got for what happened in episode 9, Damascus. So Spivak is located, right? We already got that from last episode. Mm-hmm. They finally get to the cabin, all right? Am I skipping on anything like in between there? Well, we had Olivia, but we're going to talk about Olivia later. Let's talk about
like Roman Peter.
Let's talk about Roman Peter right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Spivak is located. They end up going through the cabin. They don't see too much, except for ABC blocks, so they know that Nadia was there, right? There's more little clues here and there. The cabin's totally abandoned, but they start to go deeper, and they say, this doesn't look like a wine cellar.
Nope.
Right? There's more. So they continue further down, and they end up seeing some little creatures scurrying around. Am I right?
Well, they find those open water pool, indoor pool things with
corpses,
nefarious things in it.
Yes, and they saw They saw Miranda's corpse.
Definitely dead.
Definitely dead. She was skeletonized.
Yeah.
Am I right? So has it been like a while, or was she just consumed by the creatures?
The poor girl didn't even get a death scene. It was just that scene of her walking into the basement. She's like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, getting pushed by Spivak.
Yeah.
But I think the timeline, they confirmed it in the previous episode. It's been 7 days.
It's been 7 days. Wow.
So,
since Spivak took her down there. Mm-hmm. It's been 7 days. Wow, that's not
because
that
we
long
had
at all.
Yeah, we had the inspector who called in and said, I got a message last week
about the frozen people.
So we know only a week has passed within all these episodes.
Yeah, at least a week. Wow, that's crazy.
It.
Yeah, that's not that much. So they go as they're going down. We have the Price finds out that they need to use nitrous oxide, which is found, the chemical is found in the venom sacs of Upirs. How convenient!
Very convenient. But very scientifically, I get it.
I'm on board.
Yeah, I accept that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Marissa.
if we knew, like, he knew that was sulfur-based, right? And so something that he knew was going to oppose a sulfur-based being was readily available. Okay.
Chemicals. And also, but I did like his argument saying that that's why Upirs can easily knock out Spivak's species so fast and how they outgrew them.
Yeah.
Because just a little bit amount can kill them.
Yeah, super cool. I'm actually surprised that none of the other Upir in the world were on to Spivak. Like, he was probably the only survivor of his race, right? Of the Lemungundr, right?
Yeah,
Drumungundr, the Ouroboros. Let's make it easier. The Ouroboros.
But I think as of this time, this just period, is that Upirs are very civilized right now. It's not really species against species. They're just mingling with humans and also Vargulfs and werewolves. So, but it doesn't seem like there's a big war going on in between anybody.
There isn't. They must have just gotten so complacent in their them being like the dominant species on the planet, mixed in there with humans, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they just didn't think about Ouroboros or Lemungundr anymore, right? Anyway, so they find out, they go further, and they actually get to this outside area where there's a dam, right? There's this dam, they're on the outside, they see there's this waterfall, beautiful waterfall in the background, right?
Place where all the water is, though.
Yes, where all the estuaries are, right? And we have a conversation that goes on between Peter and Roman, and it's terrible. It's like, Roman knows what he did, and Peter is so like blinded to everything still. Like, their bromance in Peter's mind is in full effect, and Roman knows he's preserving it by lying to him, right? Lying his ass off. And what were some of the things that they said?
You've always been there for me. You're my family.
Your family. I was like,
I'm like, lying right to his
Roman
face.
turned into Olivia.
Oh,
Totally.
man. Speaking of Olivia, you are dressed a little bit like Olivia wearing a Vargulf.
So I was very inspired. So I have my like black lacy top, and then I wore my dead werewolf,
Totally.
which is really
Gorgeous.
just fake. It's made out of Muppets.
Yes.
I like it. It's very soft.
A Muppet Vargulf.
There
you go.
Get in here, girl. Get in here.
And Marissa,
Marissa's wearing
what are
something
you
really
wearing
awesome.
tonight?
I don't know, something black and
Sexy,
slightly
corset-ish
backless.
thing.
It looks like something that maybe a younger Olivia or Annie would wear.
Maybe.
Yes, if you guys want to see it, check it out on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything, all social media to check us out here at AfterBuzz TV.
And Sean, I feel like you're kind of Peter-ish.
Yeah.
Or Ator.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit like Peter Ator. Definitely with me growing out my beard, maybe more like Ator, because he's a hairy fellow, Richard Gunn.
Hairy fellow.
He's a hairy guy. But yeah, they have that conversation. I'm just like, dude, this is like foreshadow. It's the irony of what's coming.
So ironic.
Right. So,
But I put in my notes, Hardy Boys, one last time.
One last time.
One last adventure. The whole time we have Spivak be a MacGuffin, right? He's pulling strings behind the scenes. We never get to see him. We feel his presence there, but we don't know exactly what he's doing. Now we know. Now we have solid clues, solid evidence. We get to see this guy who's obviously like he's impregnated by the Spivak creatures, the Ouroboros creatures. Disgusting.
Oh man, I felt so bad for him too. First of all, he's a man; he shouldn't be pregnant. And then second of all, knowing that you can't physically move the body because it will rip the skin apart, like
It was so gruesome.
That's even worse. And the fact that they made that religious reference, Adam and Eve, that Eve is the one who's supposed to endure all the pain, but give it back to Adam. I was like, all right.
Take it.
Yeah, I liked how he was like, it seemed like he was babbling, but he was making all those references in there in his monologue, his like
Was his
death
last
squeal.
word was sausage?
Yeah, I think so.
Might have
He's
been.
like, I am their food, sausage. I was like, oh, all right.
It's so random. That's what I love about the show. They mix in the most twisted things, the most gruesome of gruesomes, with these funny little things like Macnam,
Macnam.
bip 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 bip, right?
Yeah.
So many, oh gosh. And so many of these little creatures come out of him. They just explode. It's like a spider sack exploding.
Oh, I don't want to picture that.
Ugh. And
so gory.
And they go into, they look like manta rays, really. And
They do.
They go out into the water.
Little Spivaks.
The mini Spivaks.
Oh my goodness, little Spivaks.
Exactly. And they look so cute and harmless, actually. But then after we already have the venom now, they did a test sampling on one of them earlier, and it just like...
It's the one that came out of Miranda's body.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it just burnt up. And it was just like, that's what's going to happen to the rest of them.
All right.
It's a clean death. For all those.
Yeah, it's the chemical reaction with nitrous oxide and sulfur.
Turns into
I
gas.
looked it up. That's exactly what happens, folks.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, we have the battle between Was there anything else that we want to mention about Spivak? He said, "I'm Adam," right? He said something like that. He was saying that he's Adam. I don't know what he said about Eve, but he said, this is the Garden of Eden. We're starting over. We're starting from scratch. He's like megamaniacal. He's worse than Olivia.
And so then I wasn't sure. So did he get all the eggs from Nadia? Because they were saying like the reason he had the infant is because like the female ovules or whatever.
The ovums.
Ovums, yeah, are like highest concentration in infants. So are these also Nadia's babies?
I think so.
Or did he take it from the other girls?
Technically. I think
or
so,
not
too,
clarified.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think they really cleared that up.
Yeah, it's...
Because then if they are Nadia's babies, they should be like special. Like extra special.
They could have special powers.
Yeah, it makes sense that they took it from Nadia because Nadia just had more eggs because she's a baby.
Because she's a baby, right? Before she hits puberty and starts ejecting the eggs monthly.
Yeah, she's got all of them.
Yeah, she's got all of them. So, let's see, what did I put in there? Okay. Was there anything else about Roman and Peter that we wanted to talk about?
Other than the fact that Spivak is dead.
Spivak is dead. Okay, let's talk about the way he died, actually. So, we got two guys with shotguns coming at him, and they're hitting him. He's, like, indestructible. They're hitting his scales, and it's just chipping away at the sweater and his, like, human skin that's, like, shelled on top of his layered sulfur body.
Like, why wouldn't they have, like, I don't know if this would have worked or not. If they dipped the bullets in the venom.
They could have done that.
You know, if it wasn't going to make the bullets blow up from some kind of chemical reaction. But
yes. They could.
I was like, you guys, there's better ways to do this. Get a crossbow.
They should have done that.
Maybe. But I think it might have been just the reptilian evolution of his creature-ness, I guess, of him. He's shown that he's lived all these years because his outside body literally became a bodysuit for him, so it just shows like how hard it was to take him down. But chemically, you could take him down.
Yes, chemically. And
physically.
But you know what? He wasn't reptilian. Remember Spivak's his genome?
Amphibian.
He was amphibian,
That's
so that was researched by Price, right?
But the physical evolution of him.
Yeah. But you know, I'm sure there's lots of frogs out there, amphibians that could change colors, right? So hey, he changed to match his environment too.
Yeah.
Right?
With those ugly sweaters. Yes.
With those ugly sweaters. And his hair. He grew out all his hair a lot.
Yeah.
To live in Helmet Smorgasbord.
And I did love that actor and his delivery of his lines, because it was like so creepy.
Oh my
the
gosh.
way he was doing it. He's like, you guys, good for you.
Yes.
Good for you. You're persistent.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
I said... Yeah, I wrote down what he said. He said, very persistent. You boys are very persistent. Good for you. Right?
Yeah. Which I thought was great. I was like, man, he's so evil.
Yeah, he's like the Mr. Rogers of evil amphibian creatures.
Yes.
Oh, I like Mr. Rogers.
So do I, but that's what he is pretty much, right? Yeah. Talking about maple syrup while he's like spitting acid across the table.
Yeah.
Right?
He does have the sweaters to boot.
Yeah, and he even that's right, he even spit some of his acid to like get at whatever was being held, like the venom that was being held by Peter. Right? Thankfully it didn't destroy it.
Thankfully.
Yes.
When the venom fell through the grate, though, I was like, that's really going to like deter the whole thing. But he just went down the stairs and grabbed it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you guys.
Yeah.
Why did it fall down there then? It could have just.
I don't know. It was to maybe just distract Peter for a few seconds, enough to flush literally all the little Spivaks out into the water and into the world.
Yes, into the world. And
that's not going to come back and get us later.
No, not at all. But I guess, hey, maybe those things won't be as brilliant as Spivak was. Maybe they'll all die off because they don't know what they're doing. Maybe they don't have, like, the brain power
I
or
don't know.
the learning skills.
They might be the next species if the Upirs are outing themselves.
Maybe. We'll talk about that more later for the future of Hemlock Grove segment. But is there anything else? Oh, yeah, let's talk about him biting him. So then they're out of bullets. They're out of shotgun shells, actually. And here's why Peter was away, because he's surprised with a flank maneuver on Spivak's side, shot him right in the face. He turns to look at Peter, he turns back, then we have Roman right on him, jaw extends, boom, clamps down, injects venom, which we didn't know that they did this every time. We had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to do it, Marisa.
No, I can't. I can't.
You trying to find where it happened?
She's trying to extend the jaw.
Extend the jaw. I was like, oh, if a jaw goes that far.
Yeah. Humans would break our jaws doing it. We would like hyperextend.
It's still cool every time you see it, though. We've seen it a lot now.
Yeah.
They did.
It's still pretty effective.
Yeah, this season a lot. And you know what? We needed to see it over and over again so we can know that's what he's doing, and like just them like taking the venom out of the sack was just like right. Price was like, oh, you should hear like a puff sound or like you're taking air out, or a pop sound, and it was more like a right.
Yeah, and he's like, if you go too far, then we're gonna have to fit Roman with a hearing aid.
The hearing aid.
It was so good. It was so good. But you think his Upir metabolism would heal up, right, after that?
I would think so, and they have a lot of venom in them, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, if he did go deaf, like, wouldn't he have
maybe.
to? I don't know, but Upirs are a lot more fragile than we thought they were, because that one, Mrs. Benson Charles, she had a congenital heart defect, which is, like, rare for Upirs.
True.
Yeah.
Again, Upirs are becoming more civilized.
Yes, they're, you know what,
More
maybe...
human.
Yeah, maybe just because, okay, they're feeding on humans, right? Or like human blood, right? And look at the garbage that us humans eat every day, right?
GMO.
Yeah, we have so much GMO, like cancer in our bodies, and they're chowing down on us. It's like we're chowing down on the cows that we feed garbage every day, and that's why we're getting cancer.
So the Opir should only feed on like people who only eat organic.
Exactly. Only the clean vegans.
So they just like outside of Whole Foods.
Gluten-free, you know.
Hey, they're upper class. There's a lot of upper class Upirs. They should be doing that, right? They can afford it.
Yeah, just get the clean stuff.
Yep. Let's talk about Olivia and Shelley, right? Did you want to move on from Peter and Roman? Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
So Olivia wakes up from this dream she's having. In the dream, she sees like, is it like a bounty of food in front of her?
Like a
Buffet.
A buffet.
Yeah.
Like it was so dark when I was watching it. I was like, what is that? It looks like there's a cornucopia in the middle of the table, right? And she's eating, and then Chong goes in her dream and he says, hey, what are you doing? Slow down, right? Doesn't he say slow down or wake up or something? And she wakes up and her arm's all messed up, right? Like she's like been gnawing at it. She's been biting her own arm just like the rats, the self-cannibalizing rats.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's at that point.
Yeah.
And she just learned it. The day before.
The day before. Hours before.
Yeah.
Probably.
Which
right?
in that same scene, the interesting moment whenever she's passing through the mirror and like the mirror's broken and then we get a reflection of her, then that just shows me that, for forever now, she's actually been degrading. We haven't seen it because we've seen Olivia through Olivia's eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that scene too, where Chongo was like, "Oh, you gotta get dressed. You gotta put on this nice dress. This will look really good on you." Oh, and he like shatters the window, like or the mirror, like, "Oh my gosh, you don't want to see yourself. Like, believe me, you look good, girl."
Yes.
Yeah.
He was so fun this episode.
Yeah.
These last two episodes, this was like Alex Hernandez's greatest role as Chongo. I loved him.
Yeah, I thought he was really great. And I liked where they took him from, like, his arc as a character from the beginning when he was alive to being this figment in Olivia's imagination. Like, really good piece for an actor to kind of bite into.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I loved how he was just a second voice for Olivia. That she's always had this cold, hard personality, but then he was just a lighter, more fun version of Olivia.
Exactly. I really like that, too. And his outfit changes are just great every scene.
Every time.
They don't bore us with his outfits. They're great. So Chongo says, "You need to get yourself a new body ASAP," and he whittles it down. He gives her all the options. He gives us the options, right? So you can't go. You could try Roman. You can't go after like can't go after Shelley because but you could do it temporarily. Annie, we don't know where she is. So what's the easy pick? Let's go after, what was it? Shelley was her first pick, or was it
No, we went to Roman first.
Roman was her first pick. So
Because Olivia was not having it with Shelley. It's like a diseased body for a deformed one? Don't think so.
Yeah, that's right.
Or grotesque one, that was the line.
Man, she does not love her daughter. Every time she says she does, it's only because she has something up her sleeve.
Well, it's more so out of vanity. We know Olivia's just a vain person, so she would do anything to be a man first before someone who's deformed.
Yes, she would, and have sex with herself too.
Exactly.
Seriously. So she goes after Roman. She ends up in his house. How the heck did she break in there? Did I miss something, or she doesn't have the passcode to get in, right? But
She just was in there, though.
she just got in there. So the second that she tries to sneak up on Roman, he's just sitting there in the dark with a flashlight. Oh, hello, mother. Turns the flashlight right on her, right? Oh, you know what? I know all about your condition, and I could smell you the second I came in here. Oh, that's how bad she is.
Yeah.
She doesn't look bad, but it's because we, as the audience, are blinded to how the disease is really, like, coming up on her, right?
Yeah. How decayed she is and decrepit.
Yes.
Yeah, which I thought was a really cool like element for them to use in storytelling, because then we're still on Olivia's side of like, oh, maybe she can make it through this, whether you like her or not, she's a fun villain to keep going on.
To keep rooting for her, just like a tad.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of hope she gets the body, just to
you're
see
like
what
so
happens.
evil.
Yeah. So she...
Kind of crazy, her just trying to chase down Roman. I was like, girl,
Yeah.
I get you're trying, but no.
No, she's too
It's
weak.
not working.
It's not going to work. She's way too weak. She even gets to the point where she grabs something and she tries throwing it at him, right? One of his like little decorations.
Shows how desperate she is.
Super desperate. And she starts even pleading with him, even saying like, oh, but I'm your mother. I love you, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't love you. I hate you. And no, you're not going to get into anybody else's body. I want you to die. Right? If you get into someone else's body, that's not going to result in your actual death.
Yes.
So die, witch,
Get
die.
outta here.
Yep.
Anyway, so she's unable to get Roman. She goes to the White Tower. And guess who happens to be there? I kind of liked how Chongo connected the dots there, which is kind of funny because he almost seemed like he was, well, he's a god, right? He's supposed to be this deity.
Yeah.
And he happened to be omniscient in that case. And he said, hey, guess what? Shelley got in trouble with the cops and she went over to, and then now she's at the White Tower. So guess what? She's over there. You can waltz in and take her body.
Yeah. Who's the only one that can take care of her right now? Yes.
Yes.
Or you should go to
Yes.
Price.
Price. So Price, of course, totally flat out refuses all this when he sees her come in. And but the crazy thing is that, and I didn't expect this to happen, that Shelley said yes.
Because she's heartbroken and her mom's manipulative and played upon that.
Yeah, but also Shelley's just mind state right now. Ator just left her. She's chemically induced by drugs, so she's not really in the right place right now to
Make
deal with
decisions.
everything and make rash decisions like that. So yeah.
Yeah, so she broke into some random lady's house and just popped a bunch
No,
of pills.
she
it's
broke
Olivia's
in
house.
Olivia's house.
Oh, it was Olivia's house.
Broke back in, got the medicine.
Oh, the medicine that she was taking before. Got it. Okay. So she took all that stuff, obviously got herself high, and she was just being silly. Anyway, so she wants to die. She wants to be in digital heaven, as Olivia put it.
Up in the cloud.
Up in the cloud.
Like a digital vacation and long enough for you to build another body for her. And
Yeah. See? But they're about to do it, and what ends up happening? Actually, I'm kind of blanking on what happens with that. Shelley. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. It's coming back to me now. So they're about to do the whole procedure, and she sees the memories on the screen from the previous consciousness transfer and visual representation of Olivia's memories, or maybe it was a camera.
I think maybe that was just regular security footage.
Okay. Why would it be there? Did Price? Oh, Price must have planned it out.
Yeah, well, Price purposely played it so Shelley would figure out, hey, I don't want to give my body to this woman who literally just killed a father figure to me.
That's right. You could see the pain on Price's face, like when he had to do it, because not only was Olivia saying yes, but Shelley was saying yes too. it was so invigorating and awesome to see Shelley lurch forward from her seat on the bed and choke the hell out of her mother.
That was great, and that was an awesome body slam.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes. What'd you think,
Well,
Marielou?
in like retrospect, now we know that she was more decayed than like we were seeing. I would have loved some kind of other sound effects of like body squishing, or like if a piece came off of her, something like that.
Yeah, like a gurgling.
Yeah, just because if the body's that much decayed, and we know Shelley's already really strong, that like, if there was something that would have happened of like she's so fragile, like she just like immediately broke something on her.
Maybe like burst a vein or something, because her veins are popping out a lot on her head.
Yeah. I liked how it did get this dark with Shelley, because we saw in a couple episodes back Olivia choking Price. So it's like she's getting a taste of her own medicine. It's about time someone like literally chokes the crap out of her.
Exactly. She is so weak at this point. Like, but of course Shelley's super strong, but like anybody could probably push over Olivia. Yeah. So she gets choked and she ends up leaving defeated. Price is like, "Don't you ever come into the White Tower again on my orders. No one is to let her in here."
And I am very glad Shelley didn't kill her, because she could have at that point.
Yeah. She had one of the best lines though.
What did she say?
Like, I've always been the monster, or looked like the monster.
I've always looked like the monster, but you've been the one who's the true monster.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
I may
that.
look like one, but you're the one who's always the monster.
It's,
Bitch. Whoa, that was a read.
yeah, it's such a great metaphor between the two of them, like the external beauty and then internal beauty, and then versus what Olivia's got. She's great on the outside, but on the inside she's got a black heart.
Yeah.
Or no heart.
No heart. She's worse than the Grinch.
True.
So let's talk about Price. He played intricate parts. We already talked about a lot of the stuff he did, but let's talk about some of the small things. He had Blinsky do so much work in the last several episodes.
Poor Blinsky.
And Blinsky found the cure, or rather the weapon to destroy the Spivak creatures.
Right. And then Price is so like, he's gonna think that he's so smart for this.
Yeah. I loved when he's talking into the recorder. His sub-mind, so a lower level mind figured this out, but I didn't. He couldn't even like work himself up to admit that someone else figured it out, not me.
Yeah, I guess that's his failing. That's what's terrible about Price, is that he thinks like so lowly of a lot of people. It's a little bit warranted, because he's a really smart guy, but that leads to his undoing, right? Because he's doing all these experiments. He's probably killed lots of people in the experiments, and now it comes back to haunt him. So he's mocking Blinsky, right? He has Randall about to come over, right? After everything's settled, pretty much. Like it's almost like the dust is settling a little bit, and Randall is supposed to join him for dinner, or like meet him at the White Tower and then go out for dinner, and the Greek guy comes in, and
Is it Roland? Is it Randall or Roland?
Oh, Randall is the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Right? Randall's Price's boyfriend. But the Greek guy, they never say his name, do they? They just say Greek delivery guy. The Greek guy is here. The Greek gentleman's here. So he comes back, and it's like he's got the Johann Price still rattling around in there. He pretty much goes nutso, and he accuses himself of trying to kill himself, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to take the first stab.
Right. It was also just scary what the Greek guy was saying, because he's now having memories of what happened when Price was in his head, so he can't distinguish what's his real life and what's Price's. And we're seeing a cat nailed in the kitchen to a wall. It's like, that would be disturbing.
Was it to the wall? I thought it was on like the countertop.
Like it was like being an autopsy.
Yeah, a cat is being nailed.
Yeah.
But it just shows just how split and unstable the mind is right now with Price.
With the consciousness transfer.
Yeah.
And you know what? To me, that sounds like something Price did when he was probably really young, right?
Yeah.
So he probably did dissections on animals growing up. And that's how he learned about animal biology and structure. But at the same time, it's like,
disturbing.
It's disturbing.
Because most serial killers start off with animals.
Yeah, and you know what? If anything, he's probably a mass murderer. because like he's like committed genocide. If you add up like the amount of bodies he's probably racked up on his list with people he's done experiments on.
Yeah, probably, and just covered it up as science.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's not too far from the Nazis, but he just doesn't do anything to kids.
A little bit close.
Pretty close. So that's another like monster theme thing right there. You know, like Price is a monster that we've come to love because we know his backstory and we know his humor. We see the real good in him is that he's come out of a dark place. He's actually started a relationship with someone. He's expressing his true self, and he always unconditionally has showed love for Shelley.
Yeah, and that's where, with Price, I think we can attach to him versus like Olivia, who's never loved anything.
Other than herself.
Other than herself, yes.
Yeah.
So like she's got manipulative love, but where Price actually cared about Shelley.
Yeah, and I think along the monster lines with Price is that the biggest monster in his life, his demons were his own.
Yeah.
It was himself.
Yeah, and that's what came back to bite him. So the Greek guy cuts his abdominal aorta. He knows exactly what's cut. Oh man, and he's just bleeding out because the abdominal aorta is like one of the biggest blood carrying vessels in the human body. And if that thing is severed, there's no way you're gone. You're gonna bleed out in seconds, a few seconds.
I was very mad when this happened.
Yeah. I felt so bad.
I was like, wow, your mind is literally killing yourself.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
It's terrible.
And then I thought it was kind of interesting that, right, there's always with the new consciousness, that it doesn't recognize Price as Price and doesn't understand the mind transfer thing because he is so smart. Like, so with Olivia, I get that she's degraded and she doesn't understand what's happening. But with the new Price in the Greek guy, that he wouldn't get what happened. Because isn't it like up-to-date data?
I don't know.
Like, so that Price consciousness should know about all the transfer problems?
I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. It seems like maybe there's a relay, like, syncing. Right? Yeah. It's like syncing between devices.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I want to say that it wasn't synced. Like, I want to say, like, whatever consciousness he uploaded at that point, which is earlier in the season, then Price has learned so much from, since then about, oh, okay, it's not going to fully work, right? I've tried it on different people. I've tried it on Olivia, and like it rejected it, because it's not compatible, right? So that's where I think that's where the experiment went wrong. And
it could just be a degraded consciousness altogether too.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. That the more times they do it, the more degradation there is to the consciousness. It's like splitting it up more and more times.
But man, it sure made me think like I would love to put part of my consciousness in something else and talk to myself.
That would be so weird.
It would be so weird.
Oh my gosh.
We're putting our minds into this podcast. We can listen to ourselves later.
Yes. We have uploaded our consciousness.
To the interweb.
Yes. So that's pretty much it for that episode. Well, the last thing, actually, let's talk about Peter getting killed by Roman. All right,
first, before that, Annie even tells Peter the real truth, what happened between Roman and Destiny.
Yes, that's right. And Peter is in total denial. He's at the playground with Nadia, and he doesn't believe her. And why would he think she would lie? She's the most honest person in the show, really.
Yeah, she is. Point. And I'm just thinking, I was like, wow, they could be a really good couple.
Yeah, I could have saw that happening.
It's a shame.
I know. When I saw her visiting him, I was like, you know what? They could end up being together, and it would be nice because it would continue the theme of them being with the same woman throughout each season.
Oh, that would. How messed up would that be?
Yeah, double dipping. So funny.
Keep it within.
Yeah, but she tells him everything, and she's got the gun already loaded, Desert Eagle, with heparin.
Heparin.
Drilled into the front or injected into the front of each of the bullets, the tip of the bullets. And what is heparin? Did you look it up? I looked it up. So
you can say
heparin is an anticoagulant. And so it actually slows down the coagulation by 1,000-fold. Coagulation of blood.
Yeah.
So you get shot by that thing, you're going to be bleeding out. And the Desert Eagle bullets are 50 caliber, so those make huge holes as it is. So he ends up going after him. He says, okay, you know what? I'm his friend. I'm going to do it myself instead of having Annie do it. Annie does she go over to? No, she doesn't quite go over right away. I'm thinking about the next episode
Yeah.
now. Huh? So he goes after Roman. Roman,
because he gives Annie Nadia.
yes, that's
Yes.
right. And she takes Nadia off to the Roma camp, right?
Yeah.
And then we have Roman at home, thirsty, goes out and he wants some food. He's on the prowl. He wants to get a BJ and some blood at the same time. Didn't he flash his thing at the girl?
Yeah, he did. It's like, I can work with this.
This guy.
Like, how do I know you're not a cop? And then he shows his penis.
Yep.
Like, all right, sure.
Yeah. So they're like, easy answer. So he chomps down on her, drains her quickly. Right, she drops to the floor, and Peter used that GPS sync they had during the Spivak thing, which they never turned off, which is so funny.
Yeah, because even during that, I was like, why are they syncing GPSs?
Like, why are they still sharing
they're
their
in the
location?
same house. They might. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they were.
We see it come into play later.
It came into play, and you know what? It was well done, I must say.
It was.
Like it was like, okay, we forgot about that thing, and it's still on, but it's not. It's funny because it's not like some. It kind of looked like it was an iOS like built-in kind of app, but it's not, because you can't do that. You have to like get some third-party app to do it, which is kind of funny. And the ones that I use, they terminate after a certain amount of time.
Oh. Well, we do know that Roman Godfrey has a lot of money and access to high technology, so.
That's right. So could have been that too. Could have been a special phone or whatever. And but Peter uses it against him. Doesn't have the balls to like really shoot him. I feel like his shot was like, it immediately wasn't fatal. Like he hesitated. He tried to shoot him and it was just like off, and he got him in the shoulder. He didn't really want to kill him, I feel.
Maybe it was just to stop him.
Just to stop him.
Or maybe he just has bad aim.
Yeah. He probably doesn't shoot guns very often. He just likes to bite things.
Mm-hmm.
But he just gets drained by Roman now. And I was like, oh, man. And I actually thought that was it for him, which was kind of like a crazy feeling. I was like, in memoriam again. We're going to talk about this at the top of episode 9. Peter dead. Peter Rumancek dead.
It's like, you can't kill Peter.
No, I was upset by it because I was like, you're going to take away Price and Peter in one episode? What's your finale going to be?
Exactly.
Because I was still distraught from Price. So when they killed Roman, I was like, oh, I hate you all. What's the point of this?
It's like, and you can't leave a final episode with a character that we don't like. Like, we don't want to follow a unlikable character for the last episode.
Yeah. Then I was thinking that the last episode was going to be just like Olivia Roman stuff.
Yeah, it could have been Olivia, Roman, them, the 2 antagonists remaining, and then there's still 2 protagonists, 2 good people that could potentially kill them, which was Shelley could have been one, and Annie, I keep wanting to say Camille, and Annie could have been the other.
Yes.
So it's possible. But as we know, that's not what happened. So they, again, within one day, we have Roman digging another grave, putting his friend in.
After he just got shot, I was like, hey, your shoulder should be hurting you right now.
Seriously, right? He should have been bleeding out. So he
He was.
Yeah.
He
So
was. He had to go to Blinsky to stop the bleeding.
That's right. He had to go to Blinsky in the next episode. But he buries him. This time he gets he puts a cloth over the face instead of just leaving the face uncovered.
Instead of just putting dirt right on him. Like Destiny.
That showed the affection he had for Peter, which is pretty nuts. In a sick way. Roman's got like a sick way of showing emotions to people.
He does.
Am I right? Like,
But so does Olivia.
yeah.
It's like the apple doesn't fall far from that tree.
That's terrible, because this whole series, he's really been fighting against being his mother, but then he turns out to be exactly like his mother. It's a sad, sad fact. Like the nature versus nurture thing is just like, dude, you still turned out to be your mom.
Yeah.
Awful.
Dun, dun, dun.
But let's go ahead and take a bit of a break from the following episode 10, and let's do some special segments right now. So let's talk about our top Hemlock Grove moments, and then we're going to talk about things I learned from Hemlock Grove. So Marisa, how about you start us off with your top Hemlock Grove moments?
Okay. I picked 3 probably very recognizable ones. Season 1, episode 5, Hello Handsome, of course, where we get Destiny possession. She eats the worm and then becomes possessed and has the voice. Awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It just shows the audience just how cool Destiny is and her capabilities of what she can do with that culture and her awesome abilities in general. That was probably the episode was like, dude, Destiny's a force not to be reckoned with.
Seriously. And I loved how she had the huge black contacts in her eyes. It was amazing, and she did such a great job. She really freaked me out. I was like, wow, this is like a really, really different kind of show.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, mine was actually going to be, that was my top one also.
We can go back and forth.
So I'm actually going to go to my next one, which is her drowning and using her psychic abilities from the drownings, which was so cool. Again, not something you ever see in any television show, movie, where you have to drown yourself. The character has to drown herself in order to get some kind of vision so she can like solve or move the plot along. Amazing thing. And I love the whole sequence that happened where she is like outer body experience in the warehouse where the cult is, right, in season 2. And at the same time, it keeps going back and forth between that and her face under the water. It's so iconic that she's actually had fan art of that and posted, and Tia Horn has posted it on her Instagram. It's such a great, memorable moment.
It's an awesome scene, and the way they filmed it, it was like the audience feels like they're also drowning, which, you know, it's never good, but very effective. Another one was season 2, episode 9, called Tin Types. That's where probably the last real bro moment between Peter and Roman, when Peter turned against the moon one too many times and he's having a hard time changing back from werewolf to human, and Roman rips open the werewolf body, digs Roman out, or digs Peter out.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that was an awesome scene, and it really did show how much he cared for, how much they care for each other.
Yeah.
Right? Peter had to turn so many times that season just because he wanted to save so many people all the time. And he realized, like, hey, I have this, like, untapped power. I might as well just keep doing it, even though it's risky. And with, you know, Roman's strength, he could withstand going up against the Vargulf. Him pulling him out was just like, dude, seriously, so cool.
Yeah. And my favorite moment of the whole thing was when we first see Peter change.
Oh, yeah.
That was the best werewolf transformation I've seen in any show ever.
Yeah. So it's in season 1.
Yep.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Right at the beginning. And that's what hooked me into this show. I was like, these people are nuts.
Yeah.
He has to eat his own body.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something we've never seen either in any form of media, where the werewolf transformation, like the werewolf eats his human skin afterwards. And it's like shedding skin, which is always we see, like, they transform and it's kind of like the wolf emerges.
Right.
Like they just like, the body changes, they like
It's
grow.
like a morphing.
Yeah, it's like a morphing, like they grow the fur, the fur extends or whatever, and the bones crack. The bones crack here too, but it's like from inside, from within. So cool. Favorite top moments, another top moment for me is Price using his dictation recorder device. It's so memorable.
So many times.
He's had. We've had Joel De La Fuente. We've had him on so many times. I've looked at his Twitter account and I've seen so many times where fans tweet at him saying, like, some of the lines like, "I must check this. Stop. Semicolon. Period." Right? It's just Full stop. It's just such an iconic thing for Price to do that, and he does it throughout. I thought it was so weird at first. I was like, this guy's a really kooky scientist, but the more we watched the seasons, the more we loved it and we wanted that. And they didn't do it every episode, but the episodes it happened in were just priceless. Every time he was doing it, they had to work in such great lines.
And I think it's also the delivery of him speaking into recorder, that he's more willing to, like, express all of his emotions through a dictation phone recorder than, you know, actually speaking to someone else about his work.
It's actually a really good writing and plot driving device for us to actually not really plot driving, but more like allowing us to see his, like, inner monologue. So I like that.
Through science.
Through science, yes. Any other favorite moments?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would say in this season, definitely drumming, like crazy Price drumming.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
It was, like, beautifully shot. and Joel's just impressive in general. So I would put that, like, you know, I know because it's a recent one, it maybe doesn't seem his favorite, but I like it a lot.
I like that one too. Again, with Price just had like so many of the best moments. Techno Bang Club.
Yeah.
Techno Bang Club.
One of the best things that ever happened on this show. It's just, wow, really? But Bryce, this is your personal life. This is so crazy. It's like a revelation. Yeah. And it's like, and we got to make fun of it here on the show. You know, it's cool. And I think, did you have any other favorite moments?
No, those are my top.
This is what about you, Marielou?
I'm good.
This is my last one. The very first scene of Hemlock Grove, where we get to see we don't know the character's name, but we get to see who our main character is. Roman Godfrey eating ice cream, seeing this girl, getting into his car and banging her.
Yeah.
In his car in the middle of the day, paying the girl off and being like, oh, you don't know me. You don't know who I am.
Right.
Peace out.
And
Bye.
it shows his character hasn't really grown.
No.
It's like he's been through a lot, but he hasn't really changed.
The only thing that's changed is he's graduated from high school. He's still a rich, spoiled brat, and he just has a nicer car. That's about it.
Right. And he graduated from, you know, being a jerk to now just an asshole.
Yeah.
So.
A total ass. Evil, almost as evil as his mother now.
And this whole show's only spanned, what, like a year or two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In their lives.
Yeah.
It's
that's it.
Pretty nuts. Pretty crazy. All right. Let's talk about some things I learned from Hemlock Grove. Marielou?
Things I learned. Well, that you could be enemies with somebody and they come together, but they still can turn on you in the end.
True.
You know? And that's like a life lesson. So trust no one, I guess.
Very true. I learned so much in this show. I learned that I am okay with losing hours of sleep by doing research on every episode because it's just fascinating. All the knowledge that's out there that we don't know, like things about the Romani culture, things about science, things about life in general, how people interact with each other. There's just so many interesting things about every episode. It's like, oh, hey, that's cool. They brought that up. And then they did a lot of historical references too, because some of these characters lived back in those times where we currently haven't. And I liked how they, put history in and still made it relevant to this day.
Are those your Olivia glasses that you brought?
These are not even mine.
These are just like sitting on the table.
Oh, they were.
Who do they belong to? They're not mine.
I mean, I could definitely have the Jackie O glasses that they
And a
made
pen.
in the show.
Seriously. Total.
Here we go.
There you go.
But you're
infected
dressed
Olivia.
more like Olivia, so I think
Marielou.
it works with you.
Yeah, you
I
should
need
wear
a
them.
big hat also.
Yes, now you need a huge hat.
Whoever left these sunglasses, thank you
They work.
for completing the
Boom.
outfit.
Perfect. What did I learn? I learned this is so cliche, but I learned to be yourself and be who you are at heart.
Oh.
Because thanks, ladies. Because Price and Shelley, like they had a lot of that internal struggle. Shelley, it was really obvious with her, but Price, it was like so hidden. He really hid himself for a lot of the series, and it wasn't until just 3-4 episodes ago that we got to learn that what his personal life is, and that he's gay. You know, it's like, dude, like he's always been like holding back. He's been torturing himself. And finally, like, when he realizes what he's been doing, he's like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. But, you know, it's sad that he had later on, actually this past episode, it's sad that in episode 9 he had to come to that end. But it was at least nice that he got a relationship. You know, he got to express himself. He got to be at peace. He got his sanity back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being yourself is like really important, even if you come to like a bitter end at some point. Was there anything else?
Oh, I think it's like beauty's not just what it is on the outside. It's also skin deep. And it's also you want to surround yourself with people who will see you for who you are.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. And especially true with Shelley, right?
Yeah, especially
where she's
Shelley.
we talked about that, how she's looks like a monster, a chaotic face, as Aitor put it, on the outside, but on the inside she's just got such a sweet, tender, timid, beautiful soul, right?
Yeah. And I think that also just goes with Annie. I mean, she's beautiful on the outside, but she was also beautiful on the inside too. So it's like, yeah, people like that you want to surround yourself with.
Yeah, exactly. Monsters are people too. So even it sounds kind
Very
of
true.
It's very ironic, but it's totally contradictory to common thought. But even though we have like the real antagonists in the show, like Olivia, Roman, Spivak, right? Spivak, he's like a throwaway kind of monster. That guy's like through and through, he's an evil guy. But we know that Price is a bad dude from his past because he's killed a lot of people in experiments. We know that Roman is a bad guy now from a lot of the things he's done now, even though he had a lot of cool Hardy Boy moments, cool bromance. He saved some people here and there, right? You still can't, like, you can still look at them though. And if you judge, yeah, sure, we can judge him by his actions now. We can judge Olivia by her actions now. But look at the past they had too. Like, they really had like a tumultuous, rocky past, and that shaped who they are today. You know, and it's really sad. Like, you can take pity on them looking at their past. Am I like downing you guys? Like totally buzzkill on this episode.
It's like
It's sad because it's true.
yeah.
And I think Roman and Olivia could have had a better relationship had they just worked their shit out. You know, had they talked to each other before yelling at each other, they should talk to each other. Because they were so quick to blame each other and judge for their actions and what they were currently doing, but they never really took the time to communicate and work out the problems like a mother and son would.
Exactly. They thought like money and power would solve everything, but
Yeah.
it didn't. It was funny because I didn't think that this show would end up like this. I'm glad it did. But the way it started, season 1, it was like so simple, and the relationships were very real relationships. Like a son trying to rebel against his mother. The mom, like, even though she like has some antagonism towards him, she still takes care of him, right? He still lives in her house. At the end, they almost seem like they make things up, right? Like they make everything okay again. But as the series progresses, that's where it gets just really nuts over the course of a year.
Yeah, it's not okay. It's
Yeah.
far from okay.
Yeah, it's far from okay. Did you have anything else that you learned? I have some more things.
Yeah, go for it.
We all have our story to tell. So I guess that's kind of along the same lines with the monsters or people too. But and I think the last thing I want to say is that and I'm going to steal this from Stephen Lemieux if he's our producer, but it's that it's good to have a night during the week to hang out with your friends and watch TV shows, your favorite shows, and just talk about them too. Because it's like super important. It helps you bond with people that you never, like, especially with us, because we're friends now, but really, like, before we started working on this show, we like hardly knew each other. And to be able to like bond and connect with people over something like a shared medium, it's a really great thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sean.
And I've learned, yes, that's great. And I learned all of our guests who've been on our show are awesome. Just awesome people in general. And you can see the love that they have for each other and just the love that they put into this show. It's like, it definitely translates.
Yeah, and it was really, I feel like it was really a passion project for a lot of these actors and the showrunners too, because it's like, Hemlock Grove has not gotten the recognition I feel that it deserves. It has thousands of followers on Instagram and Facebook, like, I think it's in the tens of thousands, if not like hundreds of thousands now, but I feel like it just hasn't gotten the press that it's deserved, especially for this last season, which is a huge climax to the series.
It's terrible.
Right. Well, I would hope now that all 3 are complete. Sometimes people like to see like everything all together.
Yeah.
And now they know that this is a show that's got a beginning all the way to the end that you can binge watch and eat all the ice cream you want.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Let's go ahead and do some. I want to do one more special segment before we go to episode 10, and this one's going to go a little bit faster. I wanted to do last words. So, last words for Price. He said, "No one should have advantage from his own wrong. Oh my, abdominal aorta. A small favor. It's so." What do you guys think he was going to say? Those are his last words.
Beautiful.
It's so beautiful, Marielou.
I think wonderful that like the freedom of it.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy that they left it like that? That the showrunners said, they had him say it's so, and they just left it open for us to interpret what he was going to say.
Because he's at the point where he's reaching a point that he's brought so many other people to.
Yeah.
In death.
And it's just crazy because he's a man with so many words, and then he couldn't even finish his last thought.
That's right. He's been so loquacious, so chatty, wordy, very like verbose in his words. Yes, and those are all
Very open-ended.
Yes.
No full stop on that one.
No full stop. It's like he just left the recorder on for that one. I was gonna say like it's so painful. I don't think he's ever complained of pain, really, right? Maybe he could have said that. He could have said dark. Like he knows like it's coming now. There's nothing out there for him, nothing up there. Even though he's like uploaded himself into the cloud. Yeah. So what? Like there's still darkness coming for you, right? Even if your consciousness isn't in another creature or another human, your body that contains the alternate consciousness, the first, if you will, the original, that thing is going to be extinguished. Yeah. It's still going to die.
Well, and I think even to the end he was analyzing it all.
Yeah.
He's just like, it's so whatever his analyzation of it was.
Yeah. Beautiful. I think you said that. Wonderful, maybe.
Yeah.
Short. He could have said it's so short, like this life is. And he made a lot of references to Olivia's like long, terrible, immortal life, right? And his life was really short. We didn't get to know Price very well. I want like a Price like prequel or some kind of spin-off, you know? Yeah, so those were his last words. And I actually want to go ahead to Olivia's last words too. So I want to jump ahead a little bit, but we're going to talk about episode 10. We still have a lot of time left on our show. So she said, "What do you mean you're leaving? Thank you all, and to all a good night." Those were her last words.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of those?
I found it so sad because not to jump ahead, but we find out her greatest fear was to perform badly and for other people, and then people leaving her at the end of all that. So I think it came full circle with her that, hey, that's it, because her show and her time is literally up.
Yeah. I also think that it's also like a kind of like it's a cue from the writers, the showrunners of Hemlock Grove, like, hey, it's kind of like Porky Pig signing off, like, beep, 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 that's all, folks. Maybe that's what the whole beep,
bip.
Maybe that's what it was. The whole bip, bip, bip. I was like, bip, 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 like, digital clock? Like, why not tick, tick, tick?
I was thinking heartbeat.
Heartbeat. Oh.
Like a heart monitor.
That's a really good one, actually. Yeah, that's probably what it was. And lastly, Roman's last words. Just do it.
Just do it.
And it wasn't a Nike commercial.
Nope.
So he said, just do it. You know what? He just wanted to get his, like, I feel like he just wanted to get his, like, tortured life over with. What did you guys think?
Yeah, it was very much like, as my friend set me free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really sad.
Be done with it.
Super, super duper sad.
Because for him, like, at that point, which of course we'll get into it more later, but his body is, like, paralyzed now, and he realizes it, and he's like, I don't want to be this.
Right.
You know, so he's like, just do it. Be my friend.
Yeah.
Be a friend. And just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Rip my heart out with the teeth.
Seriously. Oh, man. And here we come to it. We come to episode 10. The final episode of Hemlock Grove.
Brian's song.
Brian's song. Marisa, you had a theory on what Brian's song means?
Well, I believe it's probably an ode to Brian McGreevy, who is the author of Hemlock Grove, the first book, which all this is based off of his story. So I was watching the episode multiple times. I'm like, there's no connection to a Brian other than Brian McGreevy.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because there was no Brian that popped up in there that I was like, oh, it must be Brian McGreevy.
Brian McGreevy.
Yeah.
His last song.
I agree with you. I couldn't see anything else. But if our fans out there do think of something else, you guys can tweet it at us. So be sure to do that. So the episode starts off with like,
or Brian was the name of the little Spivak.
Brian survived. Okay, let's talk about Olivia. Let's start this thing off with a bang. She is delusional. Am I right?
Yes, that she is.
Totally delusional. See, we already know about
completely daydreaming now. Her mind.
Yeah. So every time she daydreams, that's got to be when she's like doing the self-cannibalism stuff, right? So she sees herself. I think the episode, like, one of the big things in the episode is like she's always on the stage, right? And she can't remember what her lines are. Someone has to help her. She doesn't end up doing it, right? She's still like, and people are laughing at her, right? And they have like tomatoes, or not. They don't have tomatoes.
If I had a tomato.
If I had a tomato, I'd throw it at that lady.
Did you know the actual line she was referring to?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I wrote it down. Did you write it down?
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
It's Lady Macbeth says the line. It's from Macbeth, Shakespeare. It's the monologue that Lady Macbeth says right after she killed someone, and she's trying to get the blood out of her hands, and it's the moment where she's feeling guilty, but she's trying to convince herself she did the right thing.
Very good. Now, I love Macbeth. I do not remember that particular scene. I know it's an important scene, but I'm just like, oh my God, it's such a great play. And I think we've actually referred to her as Lady Macbeth in previous podcasts that we've done. Like, just the way she is, the way her character is, she's very much like this evil woman who's like convincing others to like partake in her evil
scheming,
ways. Her scheming, right? For power.
She's conniving.
Money. Yeah.
And manipulative.
And am I imagining this, or did she mention at some point that was her first role?
It was something else. It was Lady Macbeth, I think. Wasn't it? Yeah. She said that last episode.
Her first. Yeah, maybe.
I think it. Yeah.
To recall,
I think it was Lady Macbeth. Yeah, that's got it. That makes a lot more sense now. So she said, "Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie." And
a soldier afeared. We need what we fear. Who knows it? When none can call our power to account. Yeah, who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him?
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Shakespearean, you know.
Is this when she helped
I am
to
a
kill?
pentameter kills you.
This is when she like helped Lady Macbeth, where she helped to kill Macduff?
Yeah.
Right? Or not Macduff,
not
Duncan,
Macduff,
sorry.
Duncan.
Duncan, the king.
Duncan.
Right. And so she is like guilt-ridden by her crime.
It's Act 5, Scene 1.
Yep, exactly. Act 5, Scene 1. She's totally guilt-ridden, and she's revealing her crime to everybody. She can't help it. Like, she can't contain everything, and I feel like that's what Olivia is now. Like, her body is breaking down, her mind is breaking down. She's spouting things off to this imaginary character that's beside her all the time. She's telling everybody her internal thoughts, right? There's even that scene in last episode where she was like talking with she was talking with Chongo, sorry, and Shelley and Price are across the room, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't said anything, be quiet." And then then they're like, they think she's really talking to them.
Yeah.
Because she's just so nutso.
And for a few episodes, she hasn't even acknowledged the fact that, like, she's aware that other people don't see Chango. Because at one point, she was in the elevator and people had Bluetooth headphones. And she's like, oh, I should get one of those. Where she still, like, acknowledged that people don't see him.
Yes.
But now, she just doesn't care.
No, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
Her mind is completely broken down. Let's see. So... What else happens? She calls Annie. Am I skipping over anything?
She calls Annie several times.
It's funny, the progression in the voicemail. It's like a desperate ex-girlfriend.
Desperate mother.
Or desperate mother, yeah, even better. So she starts off all happy and nice, and then it gets kind of urgent. Right? I would have liked to have heard the time index between the calls. So it gets more urgent, and then the last one is like, did you get my calls? Did you get my calls? You should be heading over here now. Come on, check up on your mother, your sickly mother. And she gets there, right? Annie, I'm surprised that Annie didn't come with like a weapon, you know?
That surprised me too.
Yeah. I was like, Annie, you do not go into that place unarmed.
Especially with the info that Annie drops in there, that she knows that Olivia killed her father.
Well, in fairness, she just gave her guns to Peter.
And the knife.
She could have bought an extra one while she was out there.
She could have.
She could have, but you know what? I don't know. I guess it's her mother. She doesn't want to do anything to her, even though she knows she's probably dangerous, which is crazy because we haven't seen Olivia do anything violent towards Annie yet. So maybe that's why. Maybe she doesn't believe that she could be that bad.
I don't think she was expecting what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Except that she did reveal a huge storyline, a background for Olivia with Dimitri. There's a gap. We didn't know what happened to him when he rode off. But then she actually reveals that Annie knew everything. She got the story from all the villagers in that town, and it's that Dmitri rode off, and Olivia couldn't take it that he rode off because she thought he was leaving her, abandoning her. So she went after him and tore his body apart.
Mutilated.
All
over the town square.
All over the place. His body parts just probably in the fountain of the town, in the well, or in the streets.
Well, Olivia did not take her first heartbreak well.
No, she didn't. And she was pregnant with Annie while doing that. Imagine, like, I'm so glad she didn't pass on her, like, terribleness genes into Annie.
Right. I think that might be nature versus nurture, too.
Exactly.
Because Annie didn't grow up with Olivia.
She didn't. She wasn't raised by her. But now we know what happened to him, and her doing that, it riled up Olivia. It made Olivia show her true colors, and that's where she bites her. I thought she was going to drain her right there, because I was thinking to myself, there's no way. She must know that Price is dead. Like, didn't she try to go back there at some point? Or like, or Price kicked her out. How could she go into the White Tower again? All the guards are going to say no.
Blinsky.
He's the only one who could possibly...
She had a backup.
Yeah.
Because, when she went back in there, not to jump ahead, when she went back in, she had blackmail on Blinsky. She's like, you're still going to do this, I don't care.
She did her homework on Blinsky.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Blinsky.
Poor Blinsky, man.
Yeah.
He just, like, got the wrong job.
He sure did. But you know what? I liked his character, actually. He turned out to be a good guy. He's kind of like a patsy, kind of a jerk sometimes, you know? Like,
That's what Price should have been.
yeah. So he ends up, like, actually being kind of cool and just saying, no, hey, I'm gonna set you free, right? He, like, undoes the cuffs while she's distracted with Chongo over in the corner.
Right.
And she ends up running
To the module.
Yeah, into the module. He closes the doors on Annie.
I love her line, what's up with you and locking people in this thing?
Right.
Yeah, it was so good. And
then to jump back a little bit, I liked this being how we wrap up Olivia and Price, is that we're like, well, Price is dead. And she's like, okay, well, you do this.
Yeah. It shows how much she
doesn't
cared.
care.
Yeah.
Even though she said he was a worthy adversary.
Yeah. And that was probably the last nice thing she ever said to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's where she was in acceptance mode right there. Mm-hmm. But we have the craziest stuff happen ever, and it didn't take long for it to happen. She was in there for like a minute. And Blinsky's like, okay, fine, I'll open the door. It's so bloody. It's taking me too long, right? It's all delay. And that's where we have Annie wise up and say, you know what? I'm gonna
blow myself up.
I'm gonna fire myself.
Oh.
She turned on all the tanks of gas, right? Who knows what kind of gas it was. And she just electrocuted herself. All the sparks set the gas ablaze, and she burned herself to hell.
You can't have my body.
Nope.
But I loved what she said to Olivia right before that.
What was it?
Brilliant. I prayed that you know faith and the love of God, no matter. The grace of the Lord will find you and transform you into everything you're not. Perfect, whole, and complete. Adieu, my man.
Adieu, my man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was crazy. Oh. Crazy. Even to the end, she still, like, in a way, she still has, like, love for her mother. Which is
like, she was still hoping for the best for Olivia. I was like, what a good person she was.
I know. And you know what's funny is that when we had Camille Despatie in here, and she was telling us that Annie makes some decisions that, like, don't necessarily, like, she wouldn't have chosen, or she, like, kind of, like, looked down at those decisions. Mm-hmm. She didn't really make any too many bad decisions, actually. She
made all the right ones, more so.
Yeah, she actually, I felt like Annie was an Upir monk in a way. Like, she was very pacifistic. She didn't want to hurt anybody. She gave everyone guidance and means to do what they needed to do, but overall, she didn't do any... She was like a Jedi, actually. She did what she needed to do to keep the peace, right? And she never wanted to kill anybody, never wanted to take power or money. She just wanted to live a simple and, like, giving life, really. The only thing she couldn't give was her body to her mother, because her mother would have done evil with it. Mm-hmm. So instead she
was not having it.
She set herself on fire, blew herself up pretty much.
Set herself free?
Set herself free, set her mother free.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Olivia has no choice now.
Super deep. And then we get to see Olivia with those lines that we heard. Actually, you know what? I want to back up a little bit, because she had a conversation with Chongo that was pretty cool. Do you guys remember that? So she's on stage again, but this time she's with Chongo, and he's like introducing her to everybody. Even before that, they're talking about like love and like it was so deep actually for her character. Chongo was telling her like, hey, your public loves you. Look at these criticisms or reviews rather. Look at these reviews. Everybody's saying she's the next Julia Christie, whatever that means, whoever that is, right? She's London's answer to this or that or whatever. And it's like, wow.
Leading lady.
Olivia never saw herself as being loved by anybody. She always thought the worst of people, thinking like what they thought of her. But behind the scenes, people probably did love her for certain things. It's just that she didn't think it was good enough because for some reason she was always doubting herself.
Or that the fact that people only liked her as an actress, as a personality. And I think that's why we got her in the first season, why she was so over-the-top dramatic. That was the actress side of her. That was the only way people actually showed somewhat affection towards her. So I think that's what she was in love with, was the actress personality.
I feel like Famke Johnson did such an amazing acting job this season. Olivia's character developed from like what we knew her as to just such a de-evolution. It just spun my head. Like these last 2 episodes with her like talking to herself, with her like pleading with her son who's like trying to kill her. The acting was just through the roof, man.
Yeah, so good.
I feel like she deserves an Emmy for this, you know? Like,
I know this whole show does.
Some kind of nomination, really.
She did it in such a way that was so balanced that it was comical. There were definitely comical moments, but you still felt the degrade of her personality. Like the full, like, just, it's fallen apart, but it's funny. Like, so we're watching, we're like, oh my gosh, it's so funny to see Olivia do these things. Yeah. But it's balanced in a way that's not like, this is not a character of Olivia. This is Olivia falling apart.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's just crazy how Olivia's character just became full arc, and like you said, the dissolving of her character, the disintegration more so, because we start in season 1 and she's so beautiful and gorgeous and it's all about vanity, and in the end that's what also just kind of killed her too, which was just ironic for her character in and of itself, that vanity, she started off beautiful and then she ended literally deformed.
Yeah.
So that's just a complete turn for her character.
Her vanity killed her. Price's his vanity for his own intellect killed him, right? And then we have Peter and Roman. We have Roman's like obsessive love for Peter kill him. There's so many like it's just all these ironies that happen in this series.
Twisted relationships.
Let's talk about so what happened at the very end. Before we talk about Peter and Roman, at the very end, Olivia's there. We get to see her in all her infected Upirness. She's chewing on her own arm, and she's spouting off those lines from like she's there in front of the stage and in front of her audience, right? And then she says like thanks to all, and all have a good night, right? Something like that.
Thank you all, and to all a good night.
And to all a good night. It's like, that's what Santa says, right? So it's just.
But that's what an actress say when they have a standing ovation, and that's when they walk off the stage. Exit stage right.
Exit stage right.
And she looked so like awesome. I was like really impressed with the design of, corpse Olivia.
Yeah, her hair was falling out. She was balding. You could tell where she had been chewing on her arms and her body, and
her eyes were messed up.
The eyes were messed up. She looked putrid, and she had Annie's corpse in her hands, holding it, which was it's so funny that happened. Like that's kind of like how Olivia started her life, really. Like she started her life with child, and now she's ending her life with that same child.
And
the same child.
Full circle.
Wow.
Like a snake chasing its tail.
Like a snake chasing its tail. Oh my gosh. So crazy, man. Like I really loved what they did with like her storyline, just ending.
Amazing.
Let's talk about Peter and Roman, okay, and their storyline really comes full circle as well, if you think about it, where they end up.
Yeah.
But let's.
I will say I was so happy for you when We had some Destiny cameo.
I was
like
so
Ghost
happy
Destiny.
too. I was like, okay, usually when characters die in shows and you keep seeing them come back, like, no, they're supposed to be dead. It's not making their death effective. But this death was like so effective already. It's like, no, I just wanted to see the character back. And the fact that she came back for 2 appearances, I was like, yes, Destiny, you can't go down like that.
Yeah, and it completely made sense that she would appear too because she was this spiritual being.
Right, and in such a Destiny character way. It's like, that's exactly what she would say. Not like angelic, but just straight up Destiny.
Yeah, I like that too, because they're obviously her spiritualism and her culture. It's very, very different than like the typical angel or even with like Chongo showing up. Like, he was like a really flamboyant character, where we have, you know, her Destiny coming in. She's just her. Like, just like you said, she just comes in and is just like, hey, Peter, I'm here. You're dead, but you're kind of not dead, so you might as well just wake up and get out of it.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that when this episode started and we had him there, like, floating. I was like, whoa, okay, so is this limbo for him? And then I realized, oh man, he's not going to be dead. Like,
Yeah.
I was like cheering because I realized that Peter or Roman didn't cut off his head.
Yeah.
Peter's head's still intact. That means the Vargulf still lives. Or sorry, the wolf still
The
lives.
wolf still lives.
And he dug himself out of the hole. Or was it the pack?
His pack friends dug him out, which was
Yeah.
great. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, friends, those are your true friends getting
But then
him
we
out
never
of them.
saw them again, though.
No, but that was enough.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm glad that there were other people still looking out for Peter.
Yeah. I half expected him to wake up and then just have a bunch of naked dudes sitting around him.
No, yeah, same here. But we did see that time there was that cut where they showed the forest, and we saw hours have passed, and Peter's fully clothed. I was like, okay, his friends gave him clothes.
Ah, I didn't think about that, man.
Yeah, because he should have woken up naked,
Yes, he should have.
because he was in a wolf form, or was he not?
No,
he was just
not.
in body form.
No,
Yeah.
he wasn't.
But-
He was in body form. You know, yeah, but he did not turn into a wolf. He was
right.
clothed when
But he was clothed.
when Roman put him in the ground. That's right. He was just dirty.
Yeah,
Pretty
but
much.
they unearthed him.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about it being his friends or not, though. The pack.
Or it's just wolves,
I
like
think-
forest wolves.
I think it could have just been the forest wolves, just sensing him, like sensing a fellow wolf in need, if you will. Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll never know now.
Packs look out for each other, though, so it would make sense.
Yes. So he gets dug out. Thankfully, he had that cloth on his face to preserve some air. Am I right? And
I love that line, though. I was like, he's still breathing, he's still alive.
Yes. So good.
You're running out of oxygen. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
He's alive.
Yes. It was
And
good.
she was so great in accepting in her death, too, where she's like, well, I'm dead. We didn't have to be here, but here we are. Like,
Yeah,
it was great.
it's for good.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah, and then with Roman, we talked about this already. He got shot by that Desert Eagle 50 caliber. He had the heparin on the bullet, which did not coagulate his blood. So Blinsky did surgery on him. Wasn't very reluctant about it, I guess. He just said, like, okay, I'm gonna help you out, you know.
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't see Roman the same way that everybody else does.
By the way, Price just died.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And he didn't even care, man. Roman's just like, meh, whatever.
get this bullet out.
But let's fast forward a little bit to the guards. If I'm missing anything, let me know. But he realizes that Nadia's gone, right? And the new babysitter, which was such a funny line when
Poor girl.
Yeah, she was cute. The first thing I wrote down was cute babysitter, and it was so funny because I was like, is he gonna like do something with her later on? Are they gonna have a fling? And then we have Peter walking down the stairs saying everything that we're thinking, which is like, hey, is she going to take care of your daughter and breastfeed you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, she has a master's. Oh, all right.
Sure. Sure.
So funny. So funny. But anyway, so that's how he realizes that Nadia is gone. And when he gets to the White Tower, he gets his crack team together to go find her, and they're like, wait, that's not her job function. He's like, and he knows. And and they were right, but then he prefaced it with, hey, Price told me you guys are all black ops people, so don't BS me. Go out there and find my daughter and this agent.
Get Annie.
Annie what was her name? Amundberg or something like that? I totally missed it.
Yeah, no, but pretty much like your target is Annie, take her down.
Take her down, get the girl back.
And the fact that like he's pinning the shooting that just happened, they're like, it's all because of her. It's like, no, it's not.
Dude, he manipulated everybody. He was doing
Manipulative.
He was doing what Olivia does. Totally.
Yep.
Totally.
For his own gain.
Oh yeah. So we have them actually go. Well, before, I think, I'm not sure if it was before or after this, but anyway, there's a forest conversation where we had him go out to find the body, right? Because he had a feeling. But did he have a feeling or what? Something happened where he's like, wait, Peter might not be dead. And he goes out there to the forest and he sees that the grave is open and then Peter calls him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because he has Peter's phone the whole time, so he's been texting and then he's like, where's the baby? He texts Annie, and then now he's trying to get a hold of Annie. So is that how he figured out that Peter's still around? Or did he just felt like going out to the forest?
Yeah, I think he called Annie. He saw Annie. Is that his car? I feel like that was his car.
The Mercedes-Benz?
No,
the little red car.
The little red car from first season. I feel like that was his car. You don't think so?
He had a different car. It was not that one.
Yeah. No, but Annie has that car now. So I feel like did he give it to her? Whatever.
No.
Anyway, so she drives off. He knows it's her car, and he's like, oh. And then she spots him, too, like, oh. He's alive. And, it's like, okay, whatever. So they both know that there's something going on, and that's where he probably checks to go see the forest.
Well, who said the line that's like, hey, you didn't cut off the head, or ripped out the heart, too, or something like that? Someone said it.
I forgot. No, but
I know that Annie was telling Peter like you have to you shoot him, but you have to pull out the heart.
Oh yeah, that's what Annie said to Peter.
To Peter about Roman.
To kill who Piers. That's how you have to cut out the heart afterwards. That's what the knife was for. So anyway, they're in the forest and they have a conversation, which was so cool. It's like it really flushed out everything with all the lies for the last several episodes. Their bromance totally went down the toilet.
Yeah, and just shows how crazy they're not close anymore. They're not even speaking to each other. They're not physically next to each other, communicating one-on-one. They're communicating by phone. Just how distant they are again.
Totally disconnected.
Yes.
Well, I felt like Peter was in the forest watching him.
He was.
Right.
Yeah, he was watching.
He's like a creeper.
Like a creeper.
He's like crouched in the bushes.
But it's like they're not brothers anymore. They're just two guys talking to each other, calling out each other's shit.
And a day ago, they were family.
Exactly.
Hours ago.
Oh, yeah.
Probably like 12 hours beforehand. And it's so funny how things change so quickly in Hemlock Grove.
Yeah.
So they have the conversation, and I thought it was a good one too. And they were just both livid afterwards. And Peter didn't want to turn against the moon. He was really reluctant to. He could have killed him right there if he wanted to.
Yeah. Well, he even said the line. It's like, come next full moon, there will be blood. Wait. We gotta wait a few days.
Yeah. Was it a few days?
Well, they did show the moon.
Yeah.
The shot of moon, but you can see it wasn't full. So
Yeah.
we, as the audience, know that there's probably a good few more days that would happen.
No, it's got to be. I think it's towards the beginning of a new month now. So that was like the full moon happened because that's how he dug up Destiny's body, right? Because he changed into a wolf, he had smelled her scent on her clothing, and that's how he found her, right? So he has to wait literally another 28 days for the moon to be full again. So that was like the sliver of where it's changing back to being like dark again, right? It's going the other way.
It's the other way.
Yes. So
Descending of moon.
we have the guards go to the Godfrey mansion now, right? And this is where everything's come full circle. It's the Ouroboros snake.
Back to where they started.
Back to where we started in this show, at the Godfrey mansion, where he was living at home with his evil mother.
And I loved his lines. Like, you know what I love about this place? It's mine.
Yep, it's mine.
Yes.
Just like Olivia would say. Olivia would definitely say that line.
She sure would. That evil woman and this evil boy. So let's pretty much just ramp it up. We have Peter get there, and they're just doing face off, right? Looking at each other, talking some smack, and I don't even remember what Peter's last line is, but he just lunges at him and explodes out of his human skin.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
So awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. And did you notice that Peter is now completely white?
Yep, he was a white wolf.
Totally white. Like
Not good.
like that.
Yeah.
Like the best.
But we know white werewolf is not good, actually.
Yeah.
No,
That's the Vargulf
That's
now.
the Vargulf, like Christina's character in or Christina in season 1, right?
Yeah.
Freya Tingley's character. So eventually she turned all of her hair white because she kept changing against the moon.
She was a Vargulf, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no turning back for Peter.
Nope.
Nothing at all. Before he was, when they were saying he was going to be a Vargulf in season 2, he was still black, right? His fur. So that's why he was able to pull him out of that, and he wasn't able to change back when he was able to pull him out of it. There's no going back now.
Yeah, and that was the last time he changed, too. But he had help changing back.
The last time he changed against the moon. Against the moon.
Yeah, because he had someone help change him back.
Right. And they have a little bit of a scuffle. The Upir strength that Roman's got is matching the Vargulf strength, but then there's a distraction. Destiny comes in. Yes, and that I know you guys would say the same thing. That was a fitting redemption for her to distract Roman long enough to get him pushed out the window and fall and break every bone in his body so he can't defend himself anymore.
And I find it ironic because that's how Destiny went down.
Oh!
So she went through something glass and she couldn't move, and now exact same thing happened with Roman, and he even called it out. It's like, I can't move my body. Well, it's like, well, dude, you brought it on yourself. Karma's a bitch.
Damn right. Dude, I am so glad this happened. It's just, it was really sad and pathetic, the way it ended at the same time, and him just pleading, it did show it really, I felt pity for him just doing that. And I was sad that we didn't get any more words. Obviously we couldn't get any more words from a wolf, but I would have liked to. He showed reluctance in his face. It really showed should I do it? And then he just went and did it.
Right, because there was the decision of leave Roman paralyzed, and then he would just suffer.
He would just die.
You know what I actually heard? I was listening to one of Maria's conversations on her podcast, Conversations with Maria Menounos, and it was with Dominic Monaghan, who's one of the guys from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he was nice.
Who used to play Perry or Mary? I always forget.
He was Mary.
He was Mary. So he was saying, because he does this show about animals now, how animals never lie. Some of them are kind of sneaky, maybe 0.01% of animals, but overall, animals tell you exactly what they want to tell you from the instant you get too close to them. They tell you with their body language, with their whatever verbal cues, if they're howling vocal cues or whatever. And that's the same thing that I saw tonight with the wolf, with the Vargulf. You could see the hesitation in his face, but we know that he went for it because that's what he really wanted to do. This Upir had messed with his family too much and took out that throat and took out that heart.
It had to stop with Roman.
It had to.
It had to stop with Roman.
It had to end with Roman and Olivia. No more torture for the Godfrey family upon the city of Hemlock Grove or the earth.
Yeah, because even Peter said the line, what Roman did in 3 days is going to be hell in a month. So it's that's actually really good reasoning behind that. It's it has to end with Roman.
Yeah, and he gave the ultimate sacrifice just like Annie did.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're never going to be who they were anymore.
Yep.
She's going to be dead. He's going to be an animal, right?
And then Roman saw that Peter had made that sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, now you're going to be in animal form, basically asking, is this worth it for you, or was it worth it? Because now it's too late.
Yeah.
But then he's like, no, it was worth it. Just kill me.
It was totally worth it. Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
That shows that was that last drop of bromance that he had left in his body.
And it put him out of his misery.
He put him out of his misery, and that's it. Die, Roman, die. Oh man. So we end with Roman's death. Actually, the beginning of the episode was a funeral with Shelley in attendance.
Well,
right?
Shelley's writing an email. It's her voiceover. It's over it. It's playing over it.
Right.
She's not at
No,
She was, but
Yes.
she was when they were showing it. It was her talking about
Right.
the funeral.
And you
The
know,
Price actually got a proper funeral within a day.
I know. I thought that was funny, and I actually wrote in my
Destiny still did it.
yeah, and I wrote in my notes like, is this a flashback? Like or flash forward? What's going on here? And then now we're back to present because she was writing the email and it was going through that whole like funeral, which was I thought it was a super cool funeral. It showed like Price's perhaps diverse background because it had bagpipes playing and at the same time it also had monks as well.
Belly dancers.
Because
That's
he
where I
asked
thought it
for-
was for Destiny because of the dancers and the colorful culture that it was.
But Shelley had said that he
sad.
asked for the best of everything
Yeah.
for his funeral.
Yeah.
Oh, so there were like all kinds of different cultures present.
Yeah.
And you know what? They can afford it. It's Price Industries, right? They can
True.
they can spend like 50, 60, 100 grand
Godfrey Industries, yeah.
on a funeral, right?
Although, you know,
It's probably part of your package.
he had, you know, the life insurance yeah,
The life insurance for the top scientist.
for the top scientist. I'm glad that he got a funeral too. I mean, even Destiny did get a moment with Peter because Peter went back to her burial grave and had that bowl of water where him and he's walking away, the flame
That's
actually lit. So I was like, all right, there was a moment to properly say goodbye to Destiny.
Yeah, I like that too. We also have Nadia. She's out there with Shelley and Aitor in the world, and now they're her new parents, right?
Yeah.
And I know they're gonna have.
They're traveling. They're leaving Hemlock Grove.
They're traveling, and it's gonna be like it's funny because they actually said they were going to Montana, and what's kind of funny about that, I'm such a freaking Trek nerd, such a Trekkie, is that they're going to Montana, and Bozeman, Montana, is where first contact was supposed to have happened between aliens and humans in like the Star Trek universe. So they're going there, and then it's kind of like this whole series is done. It's like all good things must come to an end, and that's the title of the last episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I know, super Trekkie.
No, that's amazing.
Over here, all kinds of these crazy connections.
I felt it was a good bookend to what the opening of Hemlock Grove was. Is that also, I think when they first showed the actual town of Hemlock Grove, there's a voiceover like over the radio saying there's all these mysterious deaths going on, what's happening, and then we see at the end of the episode of this finale episodes like there's all these mysterious deaths going on, what's happening. So I was like, yeah, that felt like, yep, deaths are still going to be unexplained in Hemlock Grove.
Yeah, and they were blaming it on something else. This time they were blaming it on aliens.
Aliens now. They're reaching.
Yeah, they're reaching out there. They're like, don't blame it on vampires, lycanthropes. We're gonna, or whatever else. They said
The
something.
Dark Star.
Yeah, they said it's aliens now, aliens.
They're the next species to watch out for.
Yeah. So we have Aitor, Nadia, Shelley driving off pretty much into the sunset, as gloomy as Hemlock Grove is. And I loved how they were leaving, and it went by the sign, "You are now leaving Hemlock Grove."
And it said free Shelley.
Free Shelley.
Free Shelley.
And she's free.
Yeah, sure did it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what was happening at the end of, pretty close to what was happening at the end of season 1 of Hemlock Grove, where they're leaving and we have Peter with his head shaved. He's like being kicked out of Hemlock Grove, and he thinks he sees Shelley out there, but then at second glance she's not there. Same thing happens with her and seeing Peter as the Vargulf out there, the White Wolf. Super cool. And then they had to do this. They had to freaking do this. The Spivak creatures.
Brian.
Little Brian.
Little Brian.
Little Brian Spivak.
Beep, beep. Brian's
It's
song.
alive.
It's alive. So they survived, which I knew was happening because they were getting flushed. And it's like, you can't kill all of them. It's not going to cause that much of a chain reaction through water, right?
Yeah. But are they going to be the new species that dominate Hemlock Grove?
Ooh. Or
Just
even
the Earth?
the Earth as we know it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because the Upirs are now wiping each other out, that this is the next... Because Spivak did say the line, it took 2,000 years to perfect this. Maybe it's his time for the Dog Star demon creature species to flourish.
I feel like there's going to be more Upirs that are healthy than there are the infected ones. So I don't really feel like I don't feel like the infection's gonna overtake them. I feel like Upirs could still be around. But let's talk about the future of Hemlock Grove now. So kind of segue into that. Do you guys think there's going to be a revival of the series at all?
It's going to be hard because one of the main actors is dead. A lot of the big side, supporting cast are dead. As if they're going to do anything Hemlock Grove, it might as well be a prequel.
Yeah, I agree. I think there should be a prequel. Or even just somewhere out there in a different town or a different city, or even globally, but not in Hemlock Grove, but still have Upirs and lycanthropes or
I would like to get
whatever.
if they took it to actually Romania.
Yeah.
The culture that's still over there, the werewolves that are still over there, the gypsies that are still over there. I think it'd be interesting to see what's happening in that location of the world compared to what was happening in Pennsylvania.
You know what? That's perfect, actually, because, and you know what? It should be a period piece. It should be back in the 1800s and the 1600s, whatever, and in order to get that, not only you can feel that Victorian era, but also sci-fi style, kind of like Penny Dreadful, maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly what went through my head.
Yeah, because this is such a great show, and we know that Upirs obviously live for centuries. There's so much story to tell, and we only got to see a year in their life. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, it's a really good, rich world and universe that I think going to prequel, more to the roots, that would be awesome to see.
Yeah.
Do you think there could be a movie?
Absolutely. I mean, the actors, they can all come back in some shape and form.
Yeah.
Whether it be dead, spirit, alive, younger than what they were. Characters were maybe years younger before we actually knew each other.
It could be. So then in that case, we'd have to get different actors, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or how Olivia came over to America.
Ooh, yeah, that would be a good one. She knew Ernest Hemingway.
She did.
He was as boring as nails until he got 6 daiquiris in him.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Ernest Hemingway wasn't the nicest guy, according to history. But he has great books.
He does have great books.
Read A Farewell to Arms.
So,
and there also could be a Nadia story, Nadia grown up.
Yep. So that's how you could continue the whole Upir thing.
There you go.
Right there. Upir with her deformed what was her aunt? Yes, that's what their connection is.
Yeah.
Deformed aunt, and Aitor could be an older guy.
Oh my gosh, and Shelley didn't even know that that's Roman's kid. That was never clarified. She assumes at this point that's Annie's.
Wow.
Yeah, just Denise.
Yeah. Wow. That's craziness. And they have money. They
have a lot of money.
They don't want to spend it, but they probably have I want to say $400,000, because it was supposed to be $200K, and then they were splitting more 200 something K on top of that, right? Something like that. It's not. I don't think it's $500,000. So, but that's still a big chunk of change in that.
It's
case.
enough to get Nadia through college.
Yeah, that'll be fine. But then when Peter gave that to Annie for them, and he's like, "Oh, I travel light," and I was like, "Oh no, he's gonna be stuck.
He's gonna die.
He's gonna do
maybe.
it." What does a wolf need with money? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. What about loose ends? So we talked about some of the loose ends already.
My thing was
killed everybody.
The Frozen family.
Yeah.
What relevance did they have? As beautifully shot as that was, and that could have really added something that they didn't really clarify, what Spivak did to the family other than kill them.
Yeah, I guess
freeze them over.
Yeah, I guess that was a pretty big loose end that we never talked about. What kind of power does he have? How we know he's a scientist, but
right. And froze them for no reason. So freezing them, even it's just a clue for Peter and Roman to find him. Because if Spivak would have just let them go, they were totally all right, cool. You got your wife, be out of here. It would have never caused him any trouble.
Yeah, and who was the inspector who was calling back all the calls and returning the calls?
Yeah.
He turned out to be no one.
No one. He was just a utilitarian kind of character. Just he was just there to
get to Erie, because that's where everything's happening.
Just to move the plot along. Here's another loose end. The Greek guy. What the hell happened to him?
He died.
He died.
He died. Okay, so did he die because of like the consciousness
Overload?
I think the mind died.
I kind of wanted to see like him in the morgue or something to make it more final. Like, cause the way he like spazzed out, I don't think he could have. Like, I think he could have lived actually, and then that could be Price in there, maybe, floating around.
True.
That's true.
But yes, the neural degradation that Price always mentioned in his recordings, it could have fried his brain as well, just as easily.
Yeah, because he was laying on the ground with his eyes open. That's what, to me, indicated he was dead.
He had his eyes open, so they turned him over. I thought he was face.
He was just laying.
Yeah, he was face down. I didn't see eyes open or closed, so
Oh,
could have gone either way, maybe.
I just had the, notion that he died because he fell first before Price did. So I was like, okay, that's the mind collapsing, and now we have the body collapsing.
And you know what, too? Here's another loose end. Price's consciousness is uploaded into the supercomputers in the cloud, right? In digital heaven. So he could be alive still. And he could...
If someone's willing to transfer the consciousness somewhere.
right.
Yeah, Blinsky is still alive.
Blinsky's
Blinsky's alive, but would he transfer Price?
I think he liked his Dr. Frankenstein. I think he was a good Igor, and he would want to get one of the most brilliant minds of the century back.
Or at least put him in a computer.
Well, he is in a computer, right?
Like where he could talk back to you.
Yeah, he could do that too.
Right? Like AI style.
Yeah.
It's not
'Cause
beyond their technology,
And
that's for
there's
sure.
no competition in consciousness if he's in a robot.
Yeah.
He's not fighting with somebody else. But now that, Roman's gone and Olivia's gone, then Shelley would get Godfrey Industries.
She would.
She would.
That's right. She's the
And
last
she
person.
loves her Uncle Johann.
And then if
She
something...
is connected genetically, too, so she is a rightful heir.
If she, let's just say she dies later on or something happens to her, Nadia could come back to Hemlock Grove, a grown woman, and she could be the heir to Godfrey Industries.
True.
How crazy would that be? And I'm sure they have their genetics like on file, so they could do a test to see that she's from the Godfrey bloodline, and they could see the maternal, the mitochondria DNA connecting her to Olivia and Roman, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Any other loose ends that we could think of?
Well, not for loose ends, but it was just amazing show to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Oh my gosh, it was. Well, I think that's about it for our show. We can't even do any predictions anymore.
I know, it's over, but I do have to say thank you to everyone who's appeared on our after show over these last 3 seasons. I will quickly name them. Dio Horn, she's amazing, ×4, because she's been on the show 4 times. Freya Tingley, twice. Famke Janssen, twice. Lori Fortier, twice. Dina Odell, Candice McClure. Mark Verheiden, Joel De La Fuente, 3 times. Drew Botton, David Strayton, twice. Landon Liebeweiern, Camille DePazzi, and Richard Gunn.
What about Serafian?
Darren Serafian,
Darren
too.
Serafian.
We had so many people.
Yes, and we just enjoyed having everybody here, like the cast and crew, like sharing their knowledge with us and just sharing their experiences on the show. It really made us feel like we were a part of the show, and I hope it made you guys at home, the fans, feel like you guys were a part of the show, because we lived and breathed this stuff for 3 years, talking about it, looking at all the minutia of this show, and I had a really good time here.
Yes, I had an amazing time watching the show, researching the show, talking to everyone, staying up to 4 a.m. every single morning doing research on this amazing show. It's just such a great platform, and what Netflix has done just to technology and the way we ingest and consume programming, beyond amazing. And the fact that they started off with one of these great shows such as Hemlock Grove, just overall amazing.
Yeah. And thank you so much, guys, for letting me join you in this final season.
Yeah, thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
I was going to say that. The final season with Marielou Mandl was such an experience, so
Which is all the pretty Filipino people.
it was our pleasure to have you here.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
But let's go ahead and wrap up and give out your Twitter handles and where everybody can follow you.
All right, you guys can find me on all social media at Marielou Mandl. That's MARIELOUMANDL.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. That's SERAFINI TV.
And you guys can find me at Sean Austin O. That's SeanAustino on Twitter and Instagram. And be sure to check out my book, City of Angels and Discontent, and it's on Amazon. Be sure to download it and give me a review. Let me know what you guys think. Until then, thanks so much for all of our dedicated fans that listen to our show, and to all the cast and crew of Hemlock Grove, and our awesome staff here at AfterBuzz TV. Take care, everybody.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.